Hello, this is Andrine, a Jewish American Priestess, and it is the new moon of Pisces, which would indicate also the new moon of Adar this year, although the first of Adar doesn't actually begin until Shabbat this week. But the new moon happens today. So we're going to do a reading using all of the Hebrunes. We're going to do a full cast where we toss down everything. We're going to get a general feel for the entire month that's coming in with this new moon. And it's interesting because it also corresponds with the 1st of March this year. That's a little unusual, but we've had a lot of Hebrew months and Gregorian months lining up at this time. So we're going to shuffle these up and toss them all down, and we're going to do a full spread reading today to get a sense of what is the month of Adar, that month of the sacred fool, the month of Purim, the month of Pisces. What does it bring in this year for us? And we're in this transition time between the winter and the spring. So let's give them a shake and a shuffle and toss them all down. All right. So the first thing I do in a full spread reading like this is I pull out everything that is upside down, that is face down. And then we read what is left. Okay, we do have a stack here, one on top of the other, but because I looked at every other Hebrew that was left in the bowl, I know what that one is. So let me zoom in a little bit and we'll take a closer look at what we have. In fact, maybe I'll just bring the whole camera down. There we go. Okay, let's see what we have today. Well, right at the very top in that stack I was talking about, we have the Yud. The Yud is the first letter of the divine name, the Yud He Vav He, which is the contraction of the verb to be in the past, present, and future tense. So when we're talking about the Yud, it's about becoming. It's about a seed that's being planted and becoming. This seed is also the first mark that one makes when writing any of the letters. And you'll notice there's a Yud in every single letter in the alphabet because everything's got to start with that one point. And this is that one point. And so it represents the beginning of a new thing, which is perfect for a new moon, but also kind of perfect for this time of year where we're heading into the spring. We're planting the seeds of what is to come this year. In Hebrew, the month of Nisan is considered the first month, even though our Rosh Hashanah doesn't begin until the 7th month. That's the new year. But it is a new year. Nisan is the new year of the kings. So it's the time from which we count the reign of a certain sovereign. And since this is the first letter of the divine name, it's the beginning of that reign as well, the reign of the divine as sovereign in our lives. And the seed represents also sort of a sperm, and it's the foundation of sexuality in the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation. So something that's coming in this month, and it's the highest letter in the reading, is becoming. Something is becoming. A seed is being planted. The divine is here. And there's some kind of intimacy that comes with that. And that's the first thing that comes up in our reading. And the thing that is stacked underneath the Yud in our reading is the Ein Sof. The Ein Sof is the blank. It means that without end. So it's the blank page onto which all of the letters are written. It's the substrate onto which all the letters are carved. And so we have this infinite potential that is underpinning the seed. There's this infinite potential that is the divine before creation, the divine after the end of the world and all of creation. So both things here right at the top of our reading is quite significant, and it's that empty space, that potential, as I said, the Ein Sof, that is both the unknown and the possibility for anything and everything to happen. And I think that's just a beautiful way to start here, is right at the top, having the Yud right on top of the Ein Sof at the highest point in our reading. Let's move over to the next lowest in our reading, and we have the samech. And the samech is turned over, but it's a wheel, so whether it's upright or not upright, it's still a wheel. The samech represents being surrounded. Sovev means to surround, but samech means also this sense of connection or community. There's this idea of a circle that is like the seasons that are rolling around throughout the year. It is also about setting up good boundaries in our life. The samech in the Paleo or Proto-Hebrew used to look like a thorn. And you can see that little yud at the top, as I was saying, represents that thorn. And so there's a wheel that's very smooth, but there's this little bump in it. So there's an agitation. Interestingly, also in this particular piece of wood, there's a bump right there on the side of it. So you couldn't roll this smoothly without it going bump, bump, bump. And that's just the reality of the situation. We have things that are going around, and there's some agitation or irritation. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes having a little agitation or irritation is what spurs us into momentum or to stand up against that which is unjust in the world. So we've got this idea of wheels and cycles and circles. The wheel of the year coming back around to the beginning, and this sense of a little bit of irritation or agitation that is also present here, very high in the reading. Seems appropriate. And again, like I said, it was a little bit tilted upside down, but it's a circle. So that thump, that bump in the road is coming. It's gonna agitate us and irritate us. And then down below we've got two letters that are just about equidistant in height. On the right side we have tzadi. It's interesting, they're the letters that look very similar, tzadi and ayin. So tzadi on the right side is the letter that represents justice. It's the number 90 in Gematria. So it has this sense of 9 times 10, 9 being the month of gestation, and 10 being this ultimate manifestation of gestation that's happening. And that brings us to the idea of justice, tzedek, or righteous person, a tzaddik, or this idea of mutual aid, tzedakah. And tzadi is the letter that's affiliated with the month of Shvat, which is just coming to an end, the month that is the birthday of the trees, and it looks a little bit like a tree. It's also connected with the tribe of Asher, which means happy, but is also probably related to Asherah, the goddess, the feminine divine who dwells within the trees. And she brings about justice. And you can see again that yud in the upper right corner, another yud in the upper left corner, but it's turning into a nun here, nun which means humility, and yud which is the divine name. So to bring about justice, we need to remain humble and carry the divine with us. These are equidistant, as I said, with the ayin, which is turned over, the ayin which represents an eye in the body. And it looks like this. The ayin is that being watched over and being able to see our way forward. It's also the number 70 in Gematria, so it represents that 7 days of creation, which is a completion times 10. So some ultimate completion that's happening here. It's turned over. So maybe right now we're not seeing things clearly. Maybe we're having a little bit of a challenge with being able to see clearly enough to bring about justice. And ayin is related to the foundation of laughter in the Sefer Yetzirah. This is the month of the sacred fool that's coming in. It's affiliated with Purim, where we wear masks and we pretend to be what we are not. But this laughter is turned over on its head. So maybe it's a little challenging right now at the beginning here to find our laughter, because things have been agitated and irritating, that there's been some things that have been flipped over on their head right now. And ayin is affiliated with the tribe of Dan, Dan meaning judgment. So there's maybe the judgment hasn't come yet in order to bring about justice. But these two letters are very strongly related in terms of being able to see our way forward with judgment in order to bring about justice. And judgment right now is a little precarious, it looks like. Let's go down to the Kuf. Now, Kuf is the letter, I believe, that's affiliated with the month of Adar. So it's the letter that means, kof means monkey. So there's a little bit of silliness that's involved in this, but it's also the first letter of the word kadosh, or kedusha, which means holiness or sacredness. So again, that idea of the sacred monkey, the sacred fool, that's affiliated with this month. And you can see it looks a little bit like a monkey tail hanging down here. Some also say it looks a little bit like a needle and a thread. So that weaving together that we might need to do to bring about the sacredness of the foolery that comes in. And kuf is, it's this letter that has this balance between that which is sacred and that which is silly. And I think that's a really important thing right now in this world, is to find our sacred fool, to be able to speak truth to power. The Leitzanit is that sacred fool in the Kohenet priestess pathways. So we have this idea of the holiness, the sacredness, and the monkey, the kof. It's also the first letter of the word klipa, klipa meaning shards or shells, that maybe there's some irritation, like the samach here, because vessels have been shattered. Those vessels contained the divine sparks, but they also had shards that shattered into the world and caused some discomfort. Kuf is the number 100. So when we take, say, the 10 Commandments and multiply it by the 10 Sephirot, which are the divine emanations, we come to a place of 100. We have the restrictions that come with commandments, and we have the emanations, which are more spiritual, more kavanah, less about doing and more about feeling. And those two come together into a place of sacredness. So I think the kuf showing up here below the ayin is in some way saying that we have the ability to find that laughter and that sacredness if we can upright our eye and find the way. Let's move over to the vav here on the right. We have the letter vav, and the vav is literally the word and in Hebrew. So it represents connection. It's the number 6 in Gematria. And it looks like a tall standing person with a little bit of a bowed head. Again, that humility that comes with connection to the divine, planting ourselves firmly in the earth and reaching up toward the sky. And right now where I live, we've got some flowers that are blooming. I'm going to show you. My partner gave me these yesterday. We have crocuses that have just come out, and we've got some winter blooming daphne. It's quite amazing. And our sun just came out yesterday, and I know it's going to get cold again, but we're enjoying the flowers that are sprouting out of the ground right now, like this vav, connecting earth to sky, self to the divine, and one to another. So, and is again the number 6 in Gematria, and 6 is the sixth day of creation, in which the divine created animals, including humans, in order to have someone with whom to commune. So connection is going to be important. It's underpinning this justice here, that we have a need for connection in order to find our way to justice. And again, we have a need for silliness and sacredness in order to find a way to see our way forward. Below that we have the lamed, a little bit to the left of the kuf. The lamed is the letter that begins the word lev, that means heart mind specifically. And it's about taking in information, taking in food, taking in spirituality, and digesting it and discerning what is important and what is nourishing, and releasing the rest. The lamed is affiliated with the intestines in the body. So there's this sense of absorbing what is important and releasing that which isn't. It's the first letter of the word limud v'lamed, which means teaching and learning. So we have the heart mind, listening into the information that's being brought to us, and then making a discernment about what's the best way to move forward, what part do we need to keep, and what can we let go of. So this sitting here next to the kuf means we have to tap into our heart in order to find that holiness as well, that sacredness. To the left of the lamed, we have a dalet. Dalet is a doorway, and it's reversed, so usually it's upright like so, and we're finding it in the reading upside down. So the Dalet is a doorway. It's about birth. It's a doorway into the world. It's a doorway out of the world, but a portal. We've come to a place of a portal, but we're stuck, it looks like, because this is upside down. So it sounds like we're supposed to go through some sort of portal, but we're kind of stuck in a liminal space right now. Or maybe that's an internal door. Maybe we're moving inside through a doorway. Whatever the case may be, there's some challenge to get through that door. It's not open. The door is maybe a little bit closed. And Dalet is the binary transformation of wisdom and foolishness in the Sefer Yetzirah, that book of creation on which we base the Hebrunes. So maybe we're not finding the wisdom we need to walk through the door, but we're also dealing with foolishness here. We're dealing with the sacred fool. We're dealing with the heart. So maybe we need to tap into that foolishness, turn things upside down in order to get through. That's one of the things that happens during the month of Adar. During Purim, we have that cross-dressing that happens, males dressing as females, females dressing as males, people becoming intoxicated with laughter and or with drink, so that one can't tell one name from another. We have to find that foolishness in order to tap into the sacredness of the situation. So there's something about this door being closed, about our wisdom and foolishness balance. And again, maybe just we need to turn everything upside down in order to get through the door. Maybe we can't do it in the normal way right now because things are a little topsy-turvy and a little cattywampus. And then our last letter in the reading down at the bottom is the Gimel. Gimel is a foot or a camel. It's about forward movement, and it's face down. It's usually looks like this, and we're finding it like this. So it's like the foot has fallen on its face. But again, that brings me back to this idea of the fool. A lot of times a fool will trip and fall in order to bring about laughter, in order to bring about humor, to turn things upside down. So that fun can be made of the king who is wearing no clothes. The sacred fool is the one who is able to speak truth to power. And sometimes they do that by making a pratfall. And Gimel is the binary transformation of peace and evil. Peace is the word shalom. But it's also, shalom is also the word wholeness. So there's like this idea of wholeness versus brokenness. In order to find wholeness, sometimes we have to break things open. Maybe there's some kind of wickedness that needs to be cracked open in order to find the truth and the justice that needs to be coming in. And Gimel's affiliated with justice as well. It rules over the planet Jupiter in the sky, in the Sefer Yetzirah. Jupiter, whose name is Tzedek, again bringing us back to the Tzadi, meaning justice. So as we find the Gimel at the bottom here, this pratfall that's brought us face down, we're still seeking justice, and maybe we have to do that. Maybe we have to bow ourselves down to the ground in order to see our way forward. And you'll see that Gimel is also a nun with a yud at its heel, the same way that Tzadi is a nun with a yud at its back. The yud is propelling us forward here, knocking us on our face. So we're trying to make forward movement. But again, sometimes that pratfall will be the thing that allows us to get up and find the sacredness in the situation, to find the justice in the situation, to find connection and being able to see our way forward. Then we can be surrounded with protection. And the divine, who is the ultimate sovereign, can take their place in their righteous place in this month. Excuse me. So this is a recap for the month of Adar. We've got the divine right at the top, that seed that's being planted, that newness that's coming in on that earth, this earth that is blank. The seed's being planted right there. Something new is coming in. That idea of becoming, potential is here. The potential is underneath it, and we plant the seed. The divine is here. We are unfolding the becoming. There's this need for boundaries right now. There's a need for being surrounded with protection right now. There's a little bit of agitation and bump in the road. And we've got judgment and justice. Justice over on the right side with the tzadi needing humility and the divine at their back, as well as connection with the earth, connection with the sky. Allowing things to sprout. Once that seed has been planted, the sprout needs to come up and connect. Our ayin is upside down. We can't see our way forward yet. However, the leitzanit, the kuf, the sacred fool, is right here underneath it. So get silly. Discern what we need to keep. Allow things to turn on their head a little bit, even with the ayin and the dalet here, both spinning things on their head, and sasamic as well. That we need to turn things upside down in order to see our way forward. We may find ourselves face down, but there's a place for humility. That maybe we're not meant to jump forward yet because that door is closed. We can't walk smack into it or we'll break our nose. But find the humor in the situation. Find the sacredness in the humor of the situation. And when we do, we're going to find our way to see way forward. Find the justice, because justice, again, here twice. And we've got humility here several times. Dalet is also affiliated with humility in the word dal, meaning a poor one. And we've got the bowed head in the vav. So remain humble, remain silly, find our way through the irritation and agitation, maybe bash into that door, fall on our face a little bit, and know that the divine is here, that the seed is being planted. Whatever is happening right now in the world, in your life, a seed of justice is being planted, and that it will come through sometime during this month. We'll hopefully see that sprout and the seeds coming up and the blossoms even of the new spring. So thank you so much for joining me for this new moon reading of Pisces and Adar, and I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Chodesh Tov.